Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to show you how to assemble this bike. So firstly, thank you so much for purchasing it for a price. And once you unpack it out of the box, take all the packaging out, bubble wrap, everything like that, this is going to be your starting position. So from this point on, I'm going to show you how to put this thing together. Okay, so the first step in assembling the instinct is actually the front end of the bike. So I've removed the base plate off the stem. We're going to lightly grease the threads and then start the assembly. We gently lift the handlebar, and as you can see, I've just rested the bike on a mat. You can rest it on a piece of cardboard or some foam or that sort of thing. But yeah, just make sure it's not on concrete. Make sure that the cables are routed correctly. So we want the rear hydraulic and the dropper seat post cable routed neatly around the head tube and leading into that port there. We want the front brake hose to be our first cable exposed, and then our second is going to be the rear shifter cable. We're gently going to insert that in the cavity, base plate on, and then we start putting this thing together. Now, I haven't put this in our stand, our pipe tool stand, because I wanted to show you how to assemble this on the floor. Not everyone is going to have a nice pipe tool stand at home. On the handlebar, you're going to see these faint lines, which will help you determine the position of the handlebar as far as the angle, the rotational angle goes, and also the center point as well. You'll see a marking just in the centermost portion of the handlebar, and we just try and keep that in the center of that cavity of that base plate as much as possible. So we're just going to do a quick tighten. So, okay, now that we can install the front handlebar, at this point, it's really important that you do not press the front brake lever. The pads will close themselves together if you do. You should be able to get them apart with a flathead screwdriver, but ideally avoid pressing the front brake lever until we put the wheel back in the fork. Okay, next we're going to put the front wheel in the fork. So we get your front axle, and we're going to lightly grease this axle before we put it in. So some light grease on the threads. Now what we're going to do is gently insert the front wheel in the fork and let gravity do all the work. The wheel should just slide in, and the disc will sit in between the brake pads, so you shouldn't have to force it at all. Just glide it in and it'll find its own position. Next, we've got the wheel in position now. It's sitting, the disc is sitting within the brake pads, in between the brake pads. Now we're going to put the thru-axle in, and we insert it from the drive side, and you just jiggle it. You might need to lift the front of the handlebar up a little bit, but it should, don't force it, it should just slide in. Now you'll see about a centimeter exposed at the side here. Next, you get a 6mm Allen key, and you thread it the rest of the way in, like so. Really important that you don't over torque it, so until you feel resistance, and then no more. Clean off any excess grease. Next, we're going to go back to our handlebar and get that centered and rotate it properly. So 4mm Allen key again, loosen, very much off center. You can see exposed lines on this side, but no exposed lines on this side. We're going to slide the handlebar across, like so. And then I like to aim for the middle line here to be equal length on either side of that base plate. Then we check the rotation of the bar. This angle of the bar here, this sweep, is incorrect. So that sweep there is incorrect. We want the sweep such that the bar has a nice upsweep, like so, and a nice back sweep, like so. We're now going to correctly tighten these 4 bolts. you start with the bottom. We're then going to move our way up to the opposite bolt, then the one directly across it, and the one diagonal to it, and then just repeat that process. Now from here, we're also going to check just to make sure that the gap at the top and the bottom is correct. There's more gap at the bottom on this and less gap on the top. So loosen the top, tighten the bottom. Now when you receive the bike, the dropper seat post will already be functional. And at this point, if you've got a work stand, awesome, you can put the bike in the work stand to put your pedals on. If you do not have a work stand, the easiest way is to turn the bike upside down or lean the bike up against a wall, or get a full stand such as this one. Next, we're going to install our pedals. It doesn't matter what pedal axle you've got, whether it be the rounded type like so, or something with a flat section on either side. In either case, we have to use a pedal washer. So ideally the smooth side facing outwards, and then the rough side inwards, like so, on either style of pedal. So I'll show you how to install these now. Ideally, you need a thin 15mm spanner, open spanner, and that will lock itself onto either side of that flat section. Otherwise, on the inside of your pedal axle, you'll see a hex key slot, which will either be a 6mm or an 8mm hex key. In this case, we're going to put these ones on, and I'll show you how to do these. Okay, so pedal washer on. We're going to put a light amount of anti-seize or grease on the pedal threads. Now, this one here has an R marked on the actual platform. So I know it's a right-hand pedal, which will always be the drive side. In most cases though, you won't have the R on the platform, you'll have an L or an R marked on the pedal axle. So just make sure that you identify what side the pedal is. Otherwise, you're gonna strip the pedal threads and it's gonna turn ugly. If there is no identifier on the pedal, which tells you whether it's left or right, what you can do is identify the direction of the thread itself. So in this case, if you have a look at the thread, we can see that the thread is actually rotating to the right. So that indicates it's a right-hand thread, and it's now going to go on the right-hand side of the bike. Not using a tool, you just use your fingers to start the tightening process. Or on some pedals, there's a little bit of stiffness in the axle, so you can just get the first couple of threads started and use the pedal body to actually just turn the pedal. But in this case, we've got the thread started and we can just back pedal, and the threads will work themselves into the crank arm. Once the pedal's halfway in, now we can use our tool to tighten it the rest of the way. The pedal is halfway into the thread, so it's safe for us to now use a tool to tighten it the rest of the way. Ensuring that the pedal washer sits within its groove on the crank arm as well. Make sure that's nice and tight too. Okay guys, so now just a recap. Handlebars first, ensuring that you tighten in a cross pattern. We've got the front wheel installation, and then we've got the pedals. So we've got three main things there that we need to do. So that's the bulk of our assembly complete. The next video you'll see is our bike setup video, where we go through seat height, suspension, the control position, all that sort of stuff. Otherwise, hopefully that was helpful. Yeah, we'll see you for the next video. Thanks for watching.